Hello, welcome to this tutorial, which is the second part on questions on exponents, following the introduction tutorial. Okay, if you want to pause, have a go at the questions. They're pretty straightforward, I hope, and then come back and check to see if you got them right. Okay, number one says, simplify each of the following. You're multiplying a by itself 5 times. So the base is a, and what's the exponent? 5. Because the exponent tells us to multiply a by itself 5 times. For part B, it's 7 times. The base is c. How many c's am I multiplying by each other? It's 3, so the exponent is 3. And this is written simply as 7 c to the power of 3, or 7 cubed. Sorry, 7c cubed. This next one, we've got some negatives to look after. Negative times negative is positive. Negative times negative is positive. And positive times positive is positive, so we don't need to bother putting a positive sign in. And we're multiplying a by itself how many times? 4 times. If you write it as negative a to the power of 4, it's not in its simplest form. That's the simplest form, because you're simplifying it. And the next one, those two negatives make a positive. Those two negatives make a positive. There's one negative left. Positive times positive is positive, times negative is negative. And how many a's are you multiplying together? There are 5 of them, so the exponent is 5. Okay? Right. How did you do? I'm sure you did very well. The second question is asking us to work out the value of each of the following. The first one is 2 to the power of 5. What does the exponent tell us to do? It tells us to multiply the base, which is 2, by itself 5 times. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16, times 2 is 32. I'm sure you did pause and come back and try check your answers. I forgot to tell you that. Multiply 1 by itself 10 times. I'm not going to write them all down. The answer will always be 1. 5 cubed means 5 times 5 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 lots of 25 is 125. 12 squared is 12 times 12, 144. This next one, we need to think of bit mass. We're going to work out the 5 squared first, so it's 3 times 5 times 5. I would do the 5 times 5 is 25, times 3 is 75, rather than do 3 times 5 and then times 5. This one, we're squaring a negative 3, so it's negative 3 times negative 3. Don't need the multiplication sign. 2 negatives make a positive. 3 times 3 is 9. Okay, so far? If you square a negative, you'll always get a positive, except in certain areas of mathematics. Okay, this one, the exponent is telling us to multiply negative 2 by itself 5 times. 2 negatives make a positive. 2 negatives multiplied together gives you a positive. Positive times positive is positive. times the negative that's left over is negative. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16, times 2 is 32. We saw that earlier on in question A, the 32. This one, think bit mass, the indices first, so let's think of it as negative 1 times 3 squared. So it's negative 1 times 3, which is negative 9. Okay, how did you do? It's a bit more challenging for some, but I'm sure you did okay. Now, you might want to pause on this one and have a go and come back and check your answers. Okay, if A is 2 and B is 3, C is negative 4, find the value of, supposed to really say each of the following. What does 3a squared mean? Now think bit mass, it means 3 times a squared. What does a squared mean? A times a. So it's 3 times 2 times 2. 3 times 2 is 6, times 2 is 12. Mustn't get it confused thinking it's 3 times 2 all squared. It's not. Same here, it's 2 times b cubed, which is 2 times b cubed. b is 3, so we're multiplying 3 by itself 3 times. 2 times 3 is 6, 6 times 3 is 18, times 3 is 54. If you do 3 3s are 9, and 2 3s are 6, you might find it easier. So the answer is 54, 6 times 9. C squared is negative 4 squared, and that means negative 4 times negative 4. And the answer to that, 2 negatives make a positive, so it's 4 times 4, which is 16. And here you need to think bit mass again. It's negative 1 times c squared. So it's negative 1 times negative 4 squared, which is negative 1 times negative 4 times negative 4. 2 negatives make a positive. We saw that in part C. So you're left with negative 16. Okay, well, how did you do on this one? I hope you did well. On to the next one. Take care.